Embarking on my journey through B-horror movies, I've stumbled upon Troma Entertainment, a treasure trove of cinematic content featuring classics like Class of Nukem High, The Toxic Avenger, and Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. Today, though, we're going to be focusing on Frankenhooker. Not only am I excited because this is a Troma movie, but this is also a movie directed by Frank Henenlotters, who also made the absurdity that is the movie Basket Case. I'm not lying when I say that when I found out from the trailer of this movie that it came from the same people who made Basket Case, I bumped what was going to be this week's review of Motel Hell to make room for this. Maybe one day I'll review Basket Case because damn, look at that face. How could you not love him? For now though, let's jump into Frankenhooker. We start Frankenhooker off meeting our main character, Jeffrey. Jeffrey works at the electric company, but in his spare time, he calls himself a bioelectric technician. He's also been kicked out of medical school 3 times. I wonder why. We also meet his fiancée, Elizabeth, who everyone keeps calling fat, but look at it. It kind of just looks like they stuffed a pillow in her shirt, or she just has one of those foam buff suits you wear for Halloween when you're like 8. She meets the business end of an electric lawnmower that Jeff made for his dad's birthday, leaving her like a human chopped salad.
A salad that was once named Elizabeth.
We get the intro and then find Jeff obsessing over a diagram of a human body and mumbling to himself. He hasn't been doing good since Elizabeth died and looks about half dead himself. He starts to tell his mom that he thinks he's going mad with grief, and like most boomer parents, talking about mental health makes her uncomfortable and she dips. Undeterred, Jeffrey sneaks into the garage, revealing a giant spark plug along with Elizabeth's missing head preserved in a freezer filled with purple liquid. As it turns out, his obsession centers around bringing Elizabeth back to life, but this time with an upgraded physique. Yeah, see, I don't think I have to say it, but that's just sort of shitty to do to your fiancé. Forget the bringing her back to life part after she's been dead for who knows how long, but modeling her new body off of a Playboy centerfold isn't gonna make her happy like you think it will, buddy. There's only one problem though. Jeffrey doesn't know where he's going to get the parts he needs to make his plan a reality. In addition to this, he also can't bring himself to think of ways to get the parts morally. So he decides to drill a hole through one of the nerves in his brain, because we all know serial killers have a few screws loose. Astonishingly, this endeavor does provide him with a breakthrough. He decides to purchase from prostitutes he intends to pick up in New York City. The following night, armed with determination, he encounters Zorro, striking a deal for a multitude of girls to grace his little party. They agree to a price, and Jeffrey buys a bag of crack from him. I guess this is to give him the courage to actually go through with it, or it's a way for him to learn the formula to make it, because when we see him in the next scene, he's decided to use his own super crack to kill them with. However, this super crack doesn't just lead to death. It leads to an explosive demise. Unfazed, Jeffrey still throws his little party.
We're gonna see some bats!
Where he starts to measure the girls, but ultimately can't just pick one of them. This annoys them, and when they go to take their money for the time that they've wasted, they find the drugs, and this party goes out with a real bang. He collects the parts of everyone and takes them back home just in time for the big thunderstorm that's passing through. Using all of the parts that he's taken, he makes Elizabeth a new body and dumps the extra parts in the freezer that he had her head in earlier. Then, a la Frankenstein, brings her back to life using the lightning. When her body lowers, she's alive! But something's wrong because she just starts to repeat the lines previously said by the prostitutes.
Want a date? Going out? Looking for some action?
When she finds out that Jeffrey doesn't have any money, she takes a page from Zorro and pimp slaps the fuck out of him, knocking him out. She goes back to the city and finds a few clients before she winds up back at the bar where we met Zorro from earlier. Here, Zorro is crying to his friend about his exploded girls, but his friend ditches him for Elizabeth when she walks in. Zorro overhears her talking and starts questioning her, pointing out all the different parts that belong to his girls. Jeffrey comes running in after Zorro rock'em sock'em robots Elizabeth and takes her home, but Zorro's fast behind them. Back at home, Jeffrey makes an adjustment to Elizabeth, giving her bolts in her neck so he can resuscitate her with a shot. This time she comes back as her regular self and is horrified to see that the body she has isn't hers. They start to argue, but Zorro creeps in and decapitates Jeffrey. He plans on taking Elizabeth back. Since she's made up of his girls, he claims ownership over their parts. He pulls out a bag of crack to tempt her, but suddenly from the freezer emerges 3 disfigured creatures from the earlier storm, the same storm that resurrected Elizabeth. They attack Zorro for the drugs and drag him to the freezer to meet the same fate as Elizabeth's earlier clients. Elizabeth watches the sequence unfold, her role limited to mere observation. Our narrative shifts, and Jeffrey regains consciousness on the operating table. To his horror, he discovers his head is attached to a female body, a result of his serum's estrogen-based composition, which only caters to resurrecting women. Horrified, he looks into the mirror to see himself, as Elizabeth goes into the same spiel that he had for her earlier when she was freaking out about her new body. In a fit of despair, he screams and the credits roll. Overall, this really isn't a bad movie. I mean, sure, the idea is absurd and there's like so much footage I can't show you because it's not that kind of website here. Overall though, it's a unique twist on the Frankenstein story and it's a fun watch. If I had to complain about something, it would be the limited amount of screen time we get of Elizabeth, especially after she's been resurrected. Also, these explosions really didn't age well. Hell, I'm not even sure they were good for the time either. If you want to go check this out, you can find it on Tubi and Pluto at the time of this recording. Go give it a watch, tell us what your favorite scene was in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time, and don't forget to subscribe.